Oh my God! I hadn't been expecting Maddie Bray to answer the door. I'm here to see... Shane said to come. Of course I should have gone home after the incident with the Temple Moore kids. So why hadn't I? Partly because I wasn't thinking right. I'd spent the time with Gatto and his mates in a state that switched between ordinary fear and absolute terror. And then my life disappeared into the mouth of the dog. And after that I was numb. I was nothing. But it wasn't just that my head was wrong. There was more to it. It was that I thought Shane could help me. I don't mean with practical things. Sorting my face out, dealing with Gatto and Roth, that sort of thing. I mean, I thought he could make me feel better. Stupid, really. I didn't even know him. Didn't know what he was supposed to do, but I still thought that he could save me. Could save my soul. What happened to you? Maddie looked appalled, almost disgusted. I hadn't realized that I was that bad. I had some trouble. You'd better come in. Maddie was still wearing her school uniform, but she loosened it up, and she looked good. Shane's house was old and tall. Everything about it, all its points and curves, seemed to reach up to the sky. It made my house and all the houses in my street and the streets around feel squat and low and mean, like caves. Maddie moved to one side, and I stepped into the hall. In our house, the door opened into the living room. This space echoed like a church, and there were even stained glass windows on the door behind me, another above, over the stairs on the landing. The floor was made of little black and white tiles, and for a second I stopped, entranced with them. Should I take my shoes off? Maddie laughed, and I felt stupid. In our house, you always had to take your shoes off when you came in to stop you messing up the carpet. I don't think so, she replied. And then I think she felt bad about laughing because she gave me a nice smile. A sweet smile. Shane's parents don't seem to be bothered. And anyway, they're not here. We're all in the basement. Shane will know what to do. With your face, I mean. Through here. I followed her down the hall and round into a kitchen full of polished wood and stainless steel, and then through a door and down into a new, dark world. It took me a few seconds to get used to the murk. Then I saw there were 5 other kids sitting around on old chairs and a sofa. A big telly was in the corner. Hey, Paul! Shane got up and came over to meet me, smiling when he reached me. His smile disappeared. What the hell happened to your face? The others got up as well now and gathered around. It was oddly like the scene with Gatto and his gang, except with less of a feeling that my throat was about to be slit. So I told them the whole story. Halfway through, Shane disappeared and came back with a tin box with a red cross on it. He used cotton wool and some stinging stuff out of a bottle to clean the cuts on my face. I was sitting down on a sofa by then, and Shane sat next to me, his face full of concentration and concern. Looks worse than it is, he said. And then I explained how my face came to be like this. The dog, the head, the teeth. That's gross, said a girl with white skin and purple lips. Her lips hadn't been purple when I'd seen her at school earlier that day. But its bite is worse than its bark, said another kid, who I didn't know. For some reason, I found the remark more annoying than funny. It was only after I'd finished the story that Shane took the time to introduce the other kids. Maddie, you know, he said, and then explained to the rest of the gang. Paul was the one who got her off the cook with Mrs. You-know-who. Yeah, I heard about that. Excellent, said a boy who was really too fat and happy-looking to be a freak, but he was going for it anyway. This is Billy, said Shane, aiming his thumb at the happy kid, and Billy gave me a wave. After that, I met the purple-lipped girl, whose name was Serena. She didn't seem very interested in me, or anything else for that matter. But you had to say that she was pretty, whatever color her lips were. Then there was Stevie, who was 8 feet tall and silent. And last of all, a boy called Kirk. He was the one who said all the things about the dog's bite being worse than the bark. Kirk looked exactly like Shane. It was uncanny. I don't just mean he wore the same clothes as Shane. He'd somehow made his face look like Shane's. It wasn't that they had the same features or anything, but when you really studied them hard, you could see that they were completely different. But for some power of worship, he'd forced his features into a Shane mask. "What's your favorite bit?" he said. I had no idea what he meant. Did he mean my favorite bit of being attacked by the Tempermore kids? "Withnail, he means," said Billy, the fat one. What? I was still in the dark. "Withnail and I. You know, the movie." The movie? The film, he meant. And on the telly. A DVD. Sorry, I've never heard of it. Oh man, it's brilliant, said Billy, already halfway into a rolling laugh. We've all seen it at least 1,000 times. I like Uncle Monty. Fatties of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chins, said Kirk. This was all getting really weird. I just didn't understand what anyone was saying. Oh, if you haven't seen it, you've got a real treat, said Shane. The first time is always the best, but too often you don't know what's going on till it's gone. That's the tragedy of experience. Then he used the remote to flick the DVD back to the beginning, and for the next hour and a half we all watched Withnail and I. It was about 2 actors in the 60s, or maybe 70s, who got drunk all the time, and take drugs and do stupid things, and it really was quite funny, or it would have been if the freaks hadn't shouted out all the best lines. But I had a good time, I really did. I needed something to take away the memories of the dog's jaws, and the film did the trick. Billy was friendly, nudging me whenever a really good bit was coming up, and Shane was kind, and Maddie smiled at me twice, which made it 3 times now. Altogether. The girl with the purple lips, Serena, didn't say much, and 8-foot-tall Stevie didn't say a word, but that was fine. The only one I wasn't sure about was Kirk. Everything he said had an edge to it, even if the edge was hidden. An edge of sarcasm, sometimes an edge of something worse. And whenever he spoke, he looked over at Shane to see if he'd heard it, to see if what he'd said he thought was clever. And nothing he said was aimed at me. At least, I don't think so, because sometimes it was hard to tell with him. They all knew I'd been through something serious, and it wouldn't have looked good if he'd taken the piss. But I sensed he wanted to. I got the impression that he didn't want an outsider in their group. And however nice the other were, I definitely was an outsider. I sensed something else as well. He didn't like the attention Shane paid to me. Didn't like it one bit. In a quiet part of the film, Kirk asked what bands I liked. I'd been dreading something like that. I knew that there were right answers and wrong answers. I sensed the attention of the whole group on me. What were the freak bands? I had a horrible feeling that there were some bands that were fake freak, or freak light, aimed at 9-year-old girls. If I picked one of those by mistake, it'd be a disaster. Then I had a flash of inspiration. Go ancient. I liked the Beatles. Before Kirk could speak, Shane said, Hey Paul, good choice. The White Album is my second favorite of all time. Nice, said Stevie. I think it was the first time he'd opened his mouth. Kirk looked confused, his eyes darting from Shane to me and back. Yeah, mine too, he said. It was fantastically feeble, and even Stevie laughed. Then there was a general discussion, and names flew about, and I lost track of which ones they liked and which ones were supposed to be lame. It was 9 o'clock when the film finished. I'm going to call for pizza, said Shane. You want in? We'll put some music on, hang out some more. Yeah, give the boy an education, Kirk said in a way that sounded friendly. I realized I was hungry, and part of me wanted to stay in this warm, dark cave with my new friends. Maybe even find out more about the music they were raving about. But they weren't really my friends, not yet, and I was worried that I might already have outstayed my welcome. Plus, my brain was frazzled with all the stuff that had happened today. I needed some time to think, to sort things out in my head. No, I'd better be going. My parents. Thanks, though. Okay, that's cool. I'm going upstairs to phone. I said goodbye to the others. Billy shouted something friendly and Maddie smiled again. That made 4 times. On the way up, Shane said, "We really didn't talk much about Ross, about what to do. I delivered the package. I did what he said." "Yeah, I guess you did. But he's dangerous, you know." I laughed. "Really, I hadn't noticed." Shane pulled a serious face and then smiled back. "Sure you have. But I don't just mean that he's a thug, that he can smack you around. I mean, he's dangerous." God, this sounds stupid. Dangerous to your soul. I'd never heard Shane sound so uncertain, so unsure of himself. But strangely, that made me take what he was saying even more seriously. "Do you get me?" "Yes," I said. "I get you." "Okay then," he said, sounding relieved, but still serious. "So, tomorrow you should hang out with us. When you stick together, well, you must have noticed, his sort leave you alone." "Thanks," I said, a bit embarrassed. There was music upstairs. Shane opened a door into another huge room, and the sound poured out. It was something classical. I'd never been in a house before where people played music like that. 2 adults, Shane's mom and dad, I guessed, were sitting on a funny-looking sofa. They were drinking wine from big tulip-shaped glasses. They both had their eyes shut. It felt wrong in there, like walking in on people doing something private. "Hey, Mom, can I get pizza for the guys?" Shane's mother opened her eyes. They were enormous, and so blue they looked inhuman, something mineral. There was a kind of stillness to her face. She looked quite a lot like Shane. She was very beautiful. "Of course, use my credit card when you telephone. It's in my bag in the hall." And then those astonishing eyes turned on me. "Who's your new friend?" "This is Paul. He got in a bit of a scrape." Shane's mother stood and walked over to me. "So I see. And are you going?" "Yeah, I gotta get home." I blushed. I couldn't meet those blue eyes, and I looked at my feet. "But you've been hurt." She put her hand out and touched my cheek, where the teeth had cut me. "It's nothing. It doesn't even hurt. Shane put some stuff on it." "Well, you must let me give you some money for the taxi." That made me panic. I'd never been in a taxi, and I didn't know how you did it. "So, what you said, I mean where to go, and how much you gave the driver." "No, honest, I'm fine. Thank you," I said. And then I basically just ran out of there, shouting a quick goodbye to Shane.